So I want to do a quick video about delays in the Helix to help you guys get really good delay sounds when you're making your presets. So let's get started. I'm using a stereo delay because there is a difference in your parameters. I'll show you in just a second, but let's start with the obvious, the note sync. This is, as you hit, your delay will come in a quarter note after your initial hit. You can move it to time-based, so this would mean it would happen 290 milliseconds after your initial hit. You can hear that. A lot of times, especially in the praise and worship world, you'll keep your note sync on. You won't do a millisecond delay unless you're doing like a lead type of delay with like a 400 or 500 second. Then it doesn't have to be time-based. But usually it'll be time-based. Feedback obviously is your repeats. So the lower your feedback, the less repeats that you'll have. You can hear there's one there on 10%. Bring it up to 20%, there'll be one and then a really soft one behind it. And as you go up, it'll go into multiple, a lot. You can go up to infinite and then create a feedback loop. It gets wild. Generally, especially on a quarter note delay like that, I'll just do, I'll find it where I can get 4 or so repeats. Something like 50%. No, even less. 40%. Yeah, around 40% for this one. Low cut is the where it cuts off just on your delayed signal. So if you want a really, I guess, low cut delay, you can hear it takes out a lot of the low in there. Anything below 250. High cut obviously is the same, but for the high frequencies it goes all the way down to 500 hertz. So if you want a really dark delay, you can bring it to about 100 hertz and then your high cut down to like 2000, 1500. You can hear it's a very dark delay. There's other ways to do that in the other delays too, but the mix, this is your delayed signal versus your dry signal, and I have a plug-in from Logic I'm going to bring in to give you a different representation of it. So here it mixes at 50% on our Helix preset, and this is what it would be represented: 100% dry and 100% wet. So you're hearing 100% of the dry signal, and then you're hearing 100% of the wet signal, and then it fades out. So if you bring your, let's say we wanted to bring our mix to 25%, that means you're hearing all of our dry signal, but you'd only be hearing about 50% of the wet, which is pretty normal, depending on what you want your delay to do. So let's leave it at 25. And then, just for a different visual representation, if we did 100% mix, it would be the same as no dry and 100% wet. So I hit it, and you're not going to hear anything until a quarter note, which is what our delay is set at. Anyway, maybe that helps you, maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. We're going to keep it around 25. So level, this is what the level after the delay. You can bring it up. Usually you just leave that around the same. The scale is what I think confuses a lot of people because it's not very straightforward. But what it is, and you'll only see it in stereo delay. And what it is it changes the time of your right side delay. So, for example, we're on quarter note right now. So if we wanted to change the scale, let's say we wanted quarter note on the left and then a dotted eighth on the right, you bring your scale to 75 and it'll change. So now you're going to hear 2 different delays. The right side is an eighth note and the left is still the quarter. The quarter is not going to change unless you change it up top. So basically all the scale is it changes the time of your right delay. And there's a stereo delay, I guess it's in Legacy, and you can just go in and it's much more straightforward. It says left time, left feedback, right time, right feedback. But we don't have that. It's not set up that way for the Helix delays. So chorus, the mod chorus echo, you have modulation in the chorus, in the delay. You can change it to chorus or vibrato, or you can turn it off. So I'm going to turn it to vibrato to show you, and I'm going to bring my mix up so you can really hear it. I'm going to actually bring it up to like 70, so you're going to hear more delay than you will dry, just to give you representation of what that'll do. You can hear that vibrato in there. I'm also going to bring the scale up so it's 2 quarter note delays on the right and the left. Pretty subtle. You can bring it all the way up so that depth, and it goes all kinds of crazy. Sounds pretty gross, but obviously in moderation it can be really cool. We can get really good modular delays if they're set right. Still have a dark delay. Let's bring it up. Let's get some more repeats. So that's the mod chorus echo. Let's go in and let's talk about the vintage digital. It's another popular one. All of these parameters are the same. The only difference is the bit depth. You can think of it as the bit rate. That's what I do of the delay itself. Obviously it doesn't affect your guitar. It's dry signal. But you'll hear as I bring it all the way down, it's going to get kind of gross sounding. It's going to sound a bit crushed. Let me bring the mix up, just the delayed signal. It sounds like this. It's a weird, gross, bit crushed signal. Even at 12, it doesn't get, you can sometimes hear it, which is what a lot of people will complain about. They'll say, why is my delay sound grainy or whatever? It's this parameter in your vintage, if you're using a vintage digital. So I usually keep it at 16 or 20, and it just keeps it clean. The sample rate, this technically what it'll do is, the way I think about it is it just makes it darker. It samples less, and so you'll get this dark sound. Let's bring our mix down so I can hear the dry as well. It's almost like a tape sound. It gets dark. You can bring it up to the normal 4 on 40, and it's just a regular, almost digital delay sound. So if you want like dotted eighths and you want it to sound clean, you have your sample rate up. You get those clean repeats, but if you want like some nice long quarter note delays, you can have it low and it'll darken as it repeats. Pretty versatile. I really like the vintage digital. It's probably my favorite delay. Scale obviously is the same as it was in the other one. Changes the right side of your delay. Let's go down to the tape. It's a popular one. The other one that's different in this one, I'd say, is the wow and flutter. So it's emulating a tape delay. If you've ever used one, then you know they've got wow flutter settings. It pretty much just modulates your delay. So it'll take it and it'll sound like a chorus or a vibrato. It's not too much different from what we had going on with the mod chorus. It can be nice, it can be overdone, I'd say. So be careful with it. Bucket Brigade, the BBD delay. There's no different parameters in here except for the noise, which I'm assuming, I'll turn it up so you can hear it. A lot of people wouldn't want it. I'm assuming you can probably get something cool out of it, but just a pretty standard dark delay. It's good again for like quarter notes, long, held out. Can be subtle. Adriatic delay. This is the BBD chip size. Is the only one I think that's different. It obviously has the noise just like the BBD. Let me show you what this does. It can get pretty gross if you're below 4096. Let's start here. You can hear. It's almost got that ring modulator sound as you go lower. It's not very pleasant. And then as you go higher, it cleans up. The way Bucket Brigade delays were explained to me is like a ring, like the old school firefighters, they have buckets, that's why they call it that, to put out fires, and so they're taking the bucket. It's like taking the signal from one transistor to the next, to the next, to the next. And so it kind of washes it out as it goes back and comes. It was a strange explanation, but it made sense to me. That's why they called it a Bucket Brigade delay. So this would be more transistors that can go further. You can get more delays in there. Clean. So 1024 is kind of, it gets gross. Honestly, I don't like it, but it's a good delay if you keep it within its means. And then last we'll look at the Elephant Man, which is based on the Memory Man. It's not terribly different from the mod chorus. It's got some of the same parameters. You can either have the chorus or the vibrato. There's no off switch, but if you really don't like how it sounds, then you can just turn the depth all the way down and you won't even hear it. But if you're going to do that, then you might as well just use a different delay. It's kind of, that's what it's known for, is its modulated delays. Yeah, those are the big ones I think that we hit. I would encourage you though to look into legacy delays. There's a lot of really good ones that get overlooked a lot. It's based on the DL4, which is still a popular analog pedal. It's not really analog, but still a popular delay pedal. People use it all the time. It's really good. I love the low res delay. I use it a lot. It's got a good tape delay in here. Got a good tube delay. Definitely check it out. But for now, I feel like I've gone on long enough. Hopefully you learned something. Thanks for hanging out though.